Oh, well, I'm just on the Mail Online app, and to be honest, I'm reading some horrific headlines, and I can't even believe what I'm reading, to be honest. It's quite disgusting. So, a daughter 50 becomes the first person in the UK to be convicted of killing using a TV remote after hurling it at her frail 70-year-old father in fury over how he was talking to her. She sounds like a lovely lady, doesn't she? So her name is Nicole Towson, 50, through the device at Terence Towson, 78, at his home in Bath. He went into the kitchen to tend to the wounds, but she pushed him over and broke ribs. He called his own ambulance, and paramedics found him sitting in an armchair. He died 12 days later, and his daughter's now been convicted of manslaughter. So yes, she's the first one that's become guilty of killing someone with a TV remote control. Bristol Crown Court heard that Miss Townsend suffered several injuries from the altercation. He called his own ambulance after she fled the scene. Paramedics found him sitting in an armchair holding a towel to a wound on his head. He was taken to the Royal United Hospital in Bath, where he died 12 days later following bronchopneumonia, I can't pronounce that, which was brought on by his injuries. His daughter was today found guilty of manslaughter on December 27, 2017. The court heard how Townsend targeted her frail father after an argument. She seems like a delightful lady, doesn't she? Yeah. Townsend admitted the assault to her brother-in-law, Douglas Campbell, in a series of voicemails and phone calls. Mr. Campbell then contacted the police. Fiona Elder, prosecution, told the court Nicola Townsend says she chucked a remote at Terence Townsend because she was annoyed with him, because of how he was speaking to her, because she was frustrated and angry with him. She assaulted him in the living room, then pushed him in the kitchen. She was aware of the frailty of her father. Mr. Townsend, who suffered with osteoporosis, had initially said he had hit his head, but later admitted he thought Townsend may have thrown an aerosol can at him. Townsend said it was an accident during her arrest. Accident, okay, love. She was also found guilty of intimidation of a witness after attempting to contact Mr. Campbell after being charged with manslaughter. Townsend called him and left voice messages, with the tone gradually becoming more alarming, the court was told. The messages included threats like, "I'm going to make sure you pay for this. People will be looking at you in disgust. I'm going to make sure you suffered as I have suffered. And everybody will know what a stupidly arrogant person you are." Miss Elder added she called him a fat, ugly, stars. She also said, "If I do kill myself in the end, you should be guilty for making me do it." It was threats, intimidation and emotional blackmail, she told him. "I would advise you don't go to court. I will know what you were saying. It is best you just say you want to stay out of it." And the messages she left, can they be interpreted in any other way than trying to interfere with the course of justice? What a delightful lady. Now, people don't like to read the news, and maybe sometimes the news is a bit too painful to read, but I'm sorry, but these are the type of things we do need to talk about. And if they're not talked about, then things like this go amiss, and people put on an act. And this is what people seem to forget. Just because that lady doesn't work as an actress does not mean that she isn't a good actress. You don't have to be an actor or an actress to be a good actress. You can mislead people very easily if you want to. You don't have to be a working actress. You really don't. So that's one article. The other article is this. Care worker who left housebound woman, 43, to starve to death when she didn't visit her for 4 days is jailed for 3 years. Tracy Burrows, 56, lied to the boss about checking on stroke victim Julie Clareworth. The victim couldn't move without assistance and needed to be fed through the tube. Mrs. Clareworth fell into a coma, having been left without food, fluids and medication. Wow. I mean, I've worked as a living carer, and do you know, to be honest, I can't even believe what I'm reading right now. While the victim was fighting for her life, Burrows used the time to visit her own mother. You're such a nice lady. I mean, honestly, I have to say. You know, I worked as a living carer, okay. But now, who did I looked after? One lady who had mild dementia. Mild dementia, and then one lady with severe dementia. Now, let me tell you, it was a very challenging placement. It wasn't an easy placement, so I'll explain to you how it was. I couldn't leave this lady alone, okay? If I left her alone, I'd come downstairs to find the bath filled up to the top with water. She would put her nappies and rip them up and put them all in the bath, which I had to fish out, okay? Also, if I left her, she had mobility issues and she was using a rollator frame. she would go and sometimes crawl up the stairs and go into a room which was completely hazardous, and then she couldn't get back downstairs again because of her mobility problems. So we had to ring for an ambulance. I went through an extremely difficult work placement. I was there for 10 days without any extra help. I worked for a care company called Helping Hands, which is a fantastic care company, a living care company. You know, I'm very strict on, especially with my dyspraxia, and I know for a fact that there are plenty of residential homes out there that are horrific. And I've looked under the CQC. And I'm sorry, but when you go into the CQC and you look at the reports, you will see that majority of the care homes out there are horrific. And there was absolutely no way I was going to work in a care home because I knew what's going to happen. Some of the carers get so lazy, and the managers, they want everything done quickly. They don't want the proper protocol done. No, they're not going to use a hoist. Of course they're not. No. We're just going to drag the patient, the elderly person, and do it quickly because we're in a very quick-faced society. That lady, the elderly lady I looked after, she was so grateful for me because I have a lot of patience, and she said, "Thank you so much for having so much patience." And I said, "Of course, don't you worry." I would help her when she needed to go to the toilet. I was extremely patient with her. There was absolutely no need for me to rush her. There's absolutely no need for anyone to rush an elderly person. Anyone. You one day will become elderly yourself. Believe it or not, you will be in a wheelchair one day. You will have to use a rollator frame. You are going to have to do all these things. Do not treat the elderly like they're a piece of dirt, because it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting what I read day in and day out. I worked as a living carer, and it was an extremely challenging placement. And I sure as hell didn't do what this lady did. This is absolutely a joke what I'm reading. Absolute joke. The elderly lady I had to look after, she could have. It was an extremely stressful placement. But you know what? It's not her fault. She was suffering from dementia. She had severe dementia. You have to educate yourself, and do not become a carer if you don't know how to care for people, because it's disgusting. And I'm sorry, it's a joke. And CQC is a joke. I don't know who's in charge of CQC at the moment, but I tell you what, everything's falling through the net. We need to be able to rely on CQC, but clearly things are going amiss and people are hiding things from people. I'm sorry, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's disgusting what I'm reading. It's absolutely disgusting. Let me just go on CQC, because this isn't good enough. It's the Care Quality Commission. Whoever's in charge of the Care Quality Commission needs to really sort it out right now.